idea that you have this absolute unstoppable workhorse, right, of man-hour power that you can put behind any function you need to put behind, whether it be writing, concepting, creative, whatever it is. It's more the idea that you can now, you can put 100 man-hours behind something in a couple of minutes and just you. So that's really the most exciting thing.
Welcome back to the podcast where we explore the creator economy and how you can succeed in it. Our guest today is a specialist in creative operations, development, production and strategy, and they're here to help us connect the dots between AI in the macro outlook for creators and in everyday application. We have Kevin Reste. Pleasure to have you here, man.
Hey Jay, great to be here. Great to be here. Can't wait to get started.
You don't know. So for everyone in the audience, I'm so pumped to be talking with Kevin today because we caught up off screen and we were like, what are we going to talk about? And I was like, oh, AI. And Kevin was like, AI. And then bang, it was just like, all right, we're going to talk about AI today.
Yeah.
Kevin, before we even get into that, because that's like, I'm already so pumped. If you can watch this video, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Kevin, could you just sort of explain to us, like, what does creative operations, development, production, strategy, what does that mean?
Basically, the in a nutshell explanation of what I do is I'm the facilitator between all of the creative processes, whether it be laying out pipeline or communication between departments. Basically my job is to make sure all the really hot talent gets to flex where they're really good and everybody's moving in the right direction so that we, get the best out of all of our resources. So that's like the gold standard of what I try to do.
What kind of hot talent in the last few years have you worked with that you can mention?
So I guess name drop celebrity type thing. I guess the biggest thing I worked on was last summer. I was the VFX supervisor on set for the Little Durk, Kanye West, and Cardi B video "Hot Shit" that dropped last summer in August, I believe. So that was a great time. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm sure you've learned a lot from that. But also, how long have you been doing this in the industry? Like when?
I got my start working in a motion capture. Sorry, we now call it performance capture, but for the Rockstar video, the Rock Band video game series back in 09, 010. So I worked on Rock Band 2, 3, 4, Beatles, Rock Band, Aerosmith, Green Day, the whole slew. That's where I got my big start, was on the mocap set.
Yeah, and what are some of the most recent things you've been working on in the industry?
Most recently, I am the creative director at webxr.tools, which is a web-based no-code XR toolkit for artists that we're developing. We're rolling it out now. Very excited about this new platform that we're bringing to people. It allows you to make XR experiences without having to go into Unity, without a developer, and you can distribute them to anybody with a browser. So no need to be on Facebook, no need to be on Instagram or any kind of third party. You can just make your content and get it out there. So, getting into the WebXR space right now. Again, I'm always trying to just stay on whatever the new tech is that we can implement in our pipelines.
I have no idea about the space that you just mentioned. Like, that is a realm that I wouldn't even know it is.
You will. Yeah. In the next couple of years, it's definitely coming hard and heavy into the consumer space as far as people being able to create all kinds of XR experiences.
Yeah, that's super cool. So let's really dive into
AI.
a fun topic today, because let's get hyped, man. AI is absolutely crazy. Like we've seen ChatGPT take the bloody world by storm. It's like the new thing, the internet. It's breaking. Like I could just see people are fearful, they're excited, they're resisting.
Yeah, there's a lot of feelings.
People are leaning into it. There's amazing tools like, I don't know if you've seen Opus Pro for creators out there. People are repurposing their long form content, getting heaps of short form content. What's some of the most exciting tools you've seen, or applications? Let's go with applications you've seen with AI for the creators right now.
So I feel like applications, you kind of touched on it. There's no one application. It's really just the idea that you have this absolute unstoppable workhorse, right, of man-hour power that you can put behind any function you need to put behind, whether it be writing, concepting, creative, whatever it is. It's more the idea that you can now, you can put 100 man-hours behind something in a couple of minutes and just you. So that's really the most exciting thing. As far as individual tools, it's hard to give it to anybody just because everything is so new, everything is changing. And honestly, the way we even understand each individual tool is changing almost on a monthly basis. So it's a very exciting time for everyone.
Like, I'm just going to go ahead and just sort of name drop some tools that I've used for, like, say we've got YouTube creator tools out there. There's things that will rank your title and combo, and yeah, your title and thumbnail, and they'll rank it together. There's things like Maurice.ai, which, is an AI powered tool for creators as a YouTuber. Thumbnail AI, which gives you like a score. There's a one I like to use, Script AI. It's like, I think it's just like an open AI integration, but it like creates scripts for content as well, hooks, intros, does like lots of things in copy. That's just in like the YouTube space. There's
We're
Auto
just starting
GPT.
there, yeah.
Oh my, like there's so many cool tools. What's been your favorite tool to play around with in the space at the moment?
So visual stuff, I've been really deep into Stable Diffusion and getting that entire system up and running for image generation and video generation. So that's been a lot of fun there. As far as everything else, really, it's ChatGPT. Like, they are really the one that's killing the space right now. Especially if you are paying for the service, you have GPT-4. You can integrate directly into a lot of softwares like After Effects for post production. You can literally use it inside of After Effects and have it writing scripts for you as you're working inside of your post production software. With all the plugins that have been added to it, you can do everything from designing diagrams of things you're talking about to rewriting everything with SEO specifications. Really, you name it, you now have an intelligence that you can apply to it out there.
And just did a quick Google because I think we mentioned that there were some announcements that came up
Yes.
really recently. You know more about this than me, but do you want to hit us with what some of the recent stuff is?
Yeah, so the big thing in like the last 24 hours, ChatGPT announced the GPTs, which basically means custom chat GPTs, where you can now curate the learning data, the actual structure of the bot itself. And basically, instead of having a one bot fits all thing going like we have right now, which obviously it's great in a lot of things, now we can have specialized bots that have been trained and configured to do individual tasks. So you could have a legal writing bot that's been trained that only writes legal things, only revises legal kind of content, stuff like that. And obviously you can see how that opens a door to infinite different versions of whatever kind of application people can come up with.
So is this going to be inside the OpenAI GPT, in like the website itself? How's that going to
I, as far as specifics, I can't speak to it, but from what I understand, yes, I believe that that's how it's going to be. People will be able to buy, trade, I assume purchase and subscribe to different types of models that you'll be able to have. So I don't know what it's going to open as far as like pay structures, but as far as like power and tools, it's definitely going to open up a lot of stuff for us.
This makes me so excited because let's say there is a YouTube creator and they are using GPT-4 and they create their own like YouTube, basically trained on YouTube data only, create really organized YouTube videos, whatever, puts 100 man hours behind whatever, scripting, thumbnail title rankers, keyword research, everything. Let's just say there's a YouTube bot and this creator's like, oh yeah, $30 a month, you can subscribe to this bot. And it's just only focused on creating the best content or giving you the best information for your YouTube creation. That is really exciting. How is that different though, do you reckon, between just asking, because like we could train it on YouTube data. I'm just like, now I'm just thinking, can we train it with new data as we go, and does it learn from what we tell it? Because I know GPT-4 might have some of that.
So
already.
GPT specifically, I can't talk to that kind of access they'd give it, because in the end it is a Microsoft related product. So I'm sure that they have the lockbox, however they have it set up, right? But in the overall AI world, yes, that's how it works. You can make bots, you can teach them, you can combine bots, you can have bots that teach other bots. Like, it really just kind of like, it's just an infinite nesting doll of intelligences that you can keep putting together. So the thing becomes about customization, right? So you keep mentioning like bots that would help with YouTube things and whatever. I encourage people to look at it task oriented, right? Break down your process into more task oriented, not really topics, but task oriented, and that way you can really focus on what AI tools you would need. So instead of, and I love the idea that instead of having this big sledgehammer of Chat GPT, you can now pick up maybe just a rewriting bot, maybe just a ghostwriter bot, maybe just a transcode bot, maybe just for the individual tasks that you need. And then that way you can just up efficiency at every little step of your production.
So for those who are listening to this, you're not going to be able to see my brain ticking over. Like, I usually am very focused on the camera, but I'm looking away because my brain is just like, whoa, what is going on here? I'm just starting to imagine, like, does being able to create your own bot, and this is not just a question to you, but just posing a question for thought, creating our own bot sort of replace the need to bring in someone to do some assistant tasks behind the scenes, because you can train it on your processes. These are my production tasks in this order, and then set yourself up with a couple of bots specific for those processes that integrate maybe with each other in the future.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, visual artists are already working in that pipeline you just described. So with systems that are already available to everybody with Stable Diffusion, if you were for video yet 100%, but like if we're talking, let's say concept artists, right? You can train a bot on your own artwork that will draw like you. And then you can go ahead and maybe just do thumbnails, just do rough sketches, and then have the bot finish your artwork. Maybe not to 100%, obviously, because the bot can't replace you, but to 85. And then maybe you come in and do some finishing work kind of thing. But like you described, you've just created yourself a whole assistant crew.
Do you think this sorry to cut you off. Like
No, go ahead.
Do you think this has like a big ripple effect into sort of like cinema and stuff, where it
everywhere
increases the turnaround of like the favorite TV shows that everybody's watching, because it's not like 2 years in the production. It might shorten it down to 18 months, for example. Like, does it speed things up across everything?
I don't know. The film industry has shown us that the more technology we give them, not necessarily the most efficient they're going to work. So like with like visual effects has shown us, like we give all this freedom in production of visual effects, and you would imagine that, an efficiency pipeline built on these amazing digital double systems and whatever that we already have set up would make us turn movies around in half the time. Instead, they use that power to have freedom to not make decisions until the very end of the production. So the power's there. How it fits in, like what the people that do what I do, how that fits into the overall pipeline is really what's going to determine how fast anything really changes, as far as work.
Okay, we got to zoom out for a second. So the macro, like, as well, we're getting down a rabbit hole, and it's just like, I'm like, I can feel myself going away.
It's an exciting topic and an exciting time for the topic. So yeah, absolutely.
I just hope that people can feel our excitement and passion behind their earbuds or through the screen. The macro of AI for content creators, and this is my opinion, is it is going to make it so much easier for a creator to create across multiple platforms and be syndicated across all the different platforms. So if you're a YouTuber and you want to create shorts on TikTok and Instagram, you can repurpose within minutes your long form pieces of content or your other pieces of content across to these platforms with a couple clicks.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty scary.
I mean, that's the magic of it, right? Because we've created a landscape, especially for creators, that's so vast. You spend your entire time just trying to keep up with it, right? Like how much, if you took a pie chart and cut up how much of your time you actually spend making the content, and then how much of your time you spend getting the content out there, getting it prepped, getting it formatted, and that's if you can hit all the marks you want, because sometimes you leave whole platforms off the table just because of how much work it brings in. Hopefully people will apply these tools in ways that will allow them to spend the time making better content, right? And then these tools will help them, automatically dump it off into the 5 different platforms you're going to make. Automatically rewrite your descriptions with a slightly different tone because you're putting it on a bunch of different platforms and they have different demographics, right? Get that stuff out of the way so you can set up a nice pipeline for yourself, and then you can focus on creating the good content. Because, in the end, that's what's really going to make the difference in all of this, is who can make who can make good content that resonates with their audience.
Yeah. So the thing that's sort of swirling around my brain now is like, if you're listening to this, AI is exciting. You should start using it, but don't go and invest all this time into it at the sacrifice of your content. First and foremost, think about how think about what your production line is. How do you start your idea? Where do you get your idea from to concept, to creation, to posting, to then spreading that out onto the world of whatever platform that you want to be on? Write your process out and get an idea of where you can then leverage AI to speed things up and help you with that entire process first. Otherwise, you could easily go down the rabbit hole and you're trying to
Oh.
repurpose content to every piece of platform when that's going to consume a lot of your time regardless. Start in the basics. Go right down to from the idea, how are you creating ideas, how are you storing them, then build it out from there. And once you've got that system down pat of it's making the ideas flow, the videos flow, the process and actually creation, editing of that video simple and easy for you to do very easily, then you can, I would say, move on to the next step of then pushing it out to the rest of the world. What are your thoughts?
I couldn't agree more. I call it a low dose AI strategy, right? Break your thing down into the smallest processes you can and then apply AI as needed. Find a process that works. This is a problem. I need to create, 5 different versions of the same idea because I need them as descriptions. I need them as a PR blurb. I need them, whatever. Find those that you need. Find a system that gets them to you done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Move on to the next thing. Because like you said, if you spend your time learning AI, you're going to spend your time learning new things every day because that's what's coming out is new stuff every day and you'll never be able to keep up. The thing is applicable is find pieces that you can apply in your pipeline, find them, be like, this works for me right now, use it, see how much more content you can put out, find something else, and then just keep moving that way nice and slowly.
Yeah. Big example is we record this podcast with Riverside. Riverside added a feature called auto cut or whatever, and it just goes and cuts short form content for you now.
Yes.
And one day I was very pleasantly surprised when I opened up Riverside and I saw, oh, you have 13 clips ready to download. I was like, what? So automatically that's cut down the process of, I don't have to go and sit there and watch a whole podcast now again, and then cut clips. Set those clips aside, come back later, and then create those clips, make sure it's got the clips there, it's got the captions, and it's got the cameras in the way I need it to be, so I can just go download, send to the world, put in my pipeline. So things like that are making podcasters' lives so much easier. Because
you guys, I think, got the most bang for the buck right out the gate with the tools, honestly. Editing 3 hours worth of content in snap of a finger, multi-camps, auto switch, automatically whoever's talking automatically cuts to those people. I
remember the name of that tool. You know the one I'm talking about, that long podcast, switching between everything. And I'm like, God, I don't have a reason to use that tool.
So the funny thing is, like, that was a tool. I think at this point it's already integrated into Premiere directly. And I know Avid is going to be coming out with it, like, already in the system. So the stuff is just really moving amazingly. But the text, the edit to text AI system that they put in Premiere, where you can transcode your entire podcast and then literally edit the script, and it will edit the edit as you go just by changing the text. Automatically search for all the ums and ahs, delete. The edit is done.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's amazing stuff.
Like for CapCut, they have their auto captions. Even something as simple as that has made I love that. That's my favorite. I know it's so simple, and it's like, yeah, Jake, wow, there are so many better tools out there. But I'm like, yeah, auto captions is my favorite because now I can just edit out every bloody pause. I can see where there's a pause, cut. And I've got captions everywhere, and then I can adjust them and move them off. I'm like, it is the simple things that make a content creator's life so much better. And for me, I've just found a lot of enjoyment in that.
It is, because there's just so many little things to do when you make content, right? You make the thing, but then there's just so many little bells and whistles as far as subtitles and titles and design and thumbnails and everything that you need to create to package these things correctly. So, anything that gives you guys more power, that allows you guys to create more, because I'm all up on the independent creator train. I think that's the only thing that's going to get us through these next couple of years of strange Hollywood streaming service chaos as they figure out what's going on with all of this. More and more people are turning to the independent streams of content and all about it. With these tools, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting times.
And sorry, I'm just so lost for words and not lost for words at the same time. I don't know
So
what to say.
so just like an example of like a simple pipeline, the
Yeah.
audio. One of the reasons I started doing podcasts is because I don't like to write. Like I don't like to sit down and write out all my ideas. I find it much more comfortable to sit down with you on the mic and talk about my ideas about AI. So after this podcast, I'm going to take the audio from this podcast and I'm going to pass it through Premiere's AI transcoder, and I'm going to get a script of this podcast that's going to say you, speaker one, you, speaker two, me. I'm going to take that and I'm going to give it to Chat GPT as it's be a PDF a plugin, and it's going to be that PDF. And now I'm going to tell it as speaker two, as me, please tell me my ideas on AI. And it is going to retextualize and concisely give me my content back to me, but written properly. And
Well,
then
yeah.
so, and then, go from there. Then I can make LinkedIn posts. I can make articles. I can make, PR pieces. I can make whatever I want from this content right here. I guess the biggest thing is I found the biggest block for me, which was the actual writing of it. And I used AI to remove that. So that's that's the idea.
I think if we look in terms of macro for the creators that have benefited the most, it's the creators who make the long form content that have benefited the most. Not so much the short form, but the long form, like you said, because you can take that YouTube video, or you can take that video podcast, or you can take that audio podcast, run it through the process that you sort of said, get the transcript, get a chat GPT, pull what you need to pull, repurpose that content, and also then ask it to create new ideas for that content so you can get an infinite amount of ideas.
Absolutely. And like you said, the long form content, because you can get the exponential benefit of the manpower, right? You can get the exponential, like it's that brute strength application of the stuff, right? So you can go take the transcript, ask it to pull highlights, go back to the transcript. You already have all your edited highlights pulled out because you can just give it the text, pull it out. How long would it take an assistant editor to go through your 3-hour, right, and listen to it and find the clip and pull it, right? This is we're talking seconds, like we're talking 2% of the time. It's an amazing speed up.
This is going to kind of lead, and this is an opinion of mine that I'm just forming, and some people might not agree, some people will love it. I think the game is to be a long form content creator and then repurpose all of that, because the time that you spend creating a bunch of ideas, refilming short form content on your smartphone, didn't like that, and then just showing up authentically in your long form pieces of content, where it's a Zoom call, catch up with someone, a podcast, a live video call or a live stream, or just a long form video, and repurposing that into the shorts, into the text that you need, into the blogs, into the articles for your website, into the descriptions. You can just save so much time and create so much more. And that's what you're talking about with the 100 hours of manpower. And
absolutely.
That's what we do with this podcast. That's what I've done with other podcasts. That's what I've done with anything. And I think it's just a way to go. It just makes so much more sense to do it that way. Yeah. And I don't think I could even sit there and I don't create a lot of short form content anymore. It's got to be long form for me.
I find it's harder to make, right? Like you said, it's more difficult. It's like a more concise idea. So I agree with you very much. If you're going to go long form, I feel like you can cover the entire spread, because you can always make shorter stuff out of the longer stuff, but you can't go the other way up the pipeline, right? Yeah. And since I think creators a lot of times underestimate the different ways people consume their product. So you can have a podcast and you could have fans of your podcast that have never listened to your podcast. They've only ever seen your little reels on YouTube or on TikTok or whatever. Like, I've never really watched the Joe Rogan podcast. I've seen a million clips like everybody else has. Yeah. And, I would say I'm a fan. Have I ever watched the thing? Maybe an episode, but you get what I'm saying? Like, the idea is to take your content and you dice it up into little consumable pieces that your audience can consume at any point in their day. Right? You have the long stuff for when they're dry. Oh, I'm going to drive. I can listen to the long stuff. If not, I only have 5 minutes on the subway. I'm scrolling. I have a video from you too. Like, you're giving them the opportunity to interact with your content at every stage of their day.
And I think if you're a creator or a small business owner and you want to syndicate your content like that, I think you start with the long form just as we've talked about, because it's so much harder to go backwards and create more long form from short form. It's just not possible unless you're using some crazy AI tool that starts
We haven't
replicating
made
your
that
voice.
AI yet.
Yeah. And so we're not there yet, but it'll be crazy at that point. And get your content long form video, like you said, get it as a podcast or an audio, get it as short form content, get it as blogs on your website, get it as posts on your social media, get it reconverted into carousels and images on your social media. Then you've got like seven different styles of content that people can consume and interact with. And if they don't listen to your podcast, that's fine, because they might watch it on YouTube, or they might watch the shorts on TikTok, or they might read your blog, or they might get your newsletter and take the best clips for that from that quote. Long form to me seems like it's gonna be, it's making a resurgence, I guess, after space being heavily dominated by short form.
I agree. I think we're in a really nice spot for that, also because we're in a break from production. Like everybody's had their fill of overproduced content. So right now we're still in a time where, this look we have right now, just two guys with a light and a mic. This will entertain people. People will watch this kind of stuff for hours. We're in a time where people will accept that visual language right now. So as long as the production value stays where it is right now, long form is the way to go. And especially if you deal in ideas and creative, overall concepts, this is the best way to do it, right? Because then you can just like run through it. It gives you that space to evolve the idea, get the concept out.
So I know that people listening to this, creators, creative professionals that haven't really experienced AI might be getting really excited, be like, holy shit, where do I start? Couple quick fire tips from you as we sort of tie out the end of this episode. Where should a creator or person listening to this show right now, watching, however they're watching, reading as a blog, where should they start in terms of adding AI into their workflow, and where should it?
So as far as specific software, ChatGPT is the place to start. It's a big sledgehammer type tool. It works for everything. You can pound everything with it, so it works. Wherever you're going to work, wherever you're going to plug it into your system, it's going to work, whether it's cutting your stuff down, rewriting it. I use it as a ghostwriter a lot. It can do it for editing, different tones, write promos, pull ideas, anything in the writing space. It'll be able to give you a good boost and a great place to start. It also luckily works in a very like natural language type way. So once you get over the initial, how does a prompt work? It is actually kind of a natural way to speak to it. Can you give me this? Can you edit this? Can you act like this? Kind of thing. So it's a very natural way to communicate. I think people can get a lot out of it. If people want to go visual, I recommend go try Midjourney. Lot of fun, amazing images you're going to get right out of the bat. You can really just let your kind of imagination just kind of run. If you want to get into editing, I don't think you need to go very, very crazy. Premiere has a lot of great stuff already built into it that you can get into. So those would be my three places to start: writing, Chat GPT, it's still image, Midjourney, and video, Premiere.
Yeah, and I would like to add to that: don't get sucked into going down the rabbit hole of all these different things and get yourself overwhelmed. Just know what you're in there for first and foremost. What's the outcome you want from adding AI to your system? And then just as you need it, add it. Like we said before, you really touched on it. Add it as you need it and slot it in where you think is best. And then just slowly build out your process, and you'll get really comfortable with it really quickly. If you haven't used something like ChatGPT yet, your mind is going to be blown.
Yeah. The first couple times really is just like...
I was like, yeah, write me a script from this. Or I don't know why. I was like, I asked it a boxing question, because I do a bit of boxing. I'm like, oh, surely it's not going to know how to counter this combo. And it was like, you gave me use your jab here, make sure you feint this. And I was like, what the it's trained on a lot of data.
It can get very amazing. And just a quick tip for anybody who's going to jump into it: one of the most interesting ways to use it is to tell it a role. So act as. So like you were using your boxing example, if you told it to act as Mike Tyson versus act as Muhammad Ali, it would give you different boxing advice, because it would be doing it from that particular point of view. So when you're doing research or writing, act as a tech blogger gets you very different articles than act as a, poet or act as a PR writer. So keep that in mind when you guys are creating content. You get a great amount of strength out of that.
Yeah, for sure. And Kevin, where do you see the creator economy in the next 1 to 5 years? where are creators that are creating content now, and in the eyes of the public, how are they looked upon? Are they mainstream? Is that the mainstream? Is that the way we're heading? What do you think?
I mean, I think it already is mainstream. I mean, we've been on this splintered demographics kind of idea, specific content for specific people,
Mm.
kind of thing for a while now, and it's only gotten more momentum. I think anytime somebody predicts how big this is going to get, those predictions have fallen very short every time. So we'll just see how it goes. Also, I feel like all these lines are just getting blurred, right? At this point, independent creators are putting out some content on production levels that you see from full up houses. And so, all of these worlds are going to get closer and closer together as the tools get more and more powerful and all these bumps get smoothed out.
I'm really happy to see that too. There's the modern day celebrity, those who exist on TV. Then you got the influencer creator celebrity that exists on YouTube. And then you got your podcast celebrities, and you got your Netflix celebrities who are crossing over into social media. So everybody's like, wow, I love this. And you got your singer and your songwriters who are massive on social media too. And people don't consume their music, but they love their tweets, or they love consuming anything they put out. It's just like, this is...
Yeah, I think the goal is to create an economy where creators can live off of their creating, right? You can live off of the process, right? And we're getting to a point where you can have a following. Maybe nobody knows who you are, but only your little group knows who you are. But that could still be 40,000 people. That could still be 200,000 people, and you could still make a living creating your content for your audience. And I think that's kind of the way I hope it all works out, especially with all the strikes going on now. We can see how unfair a lot of the established systems are as far as distribution of content and who gets paid for it and stuff. So the ball's kind of in the creator court right now as far as like, can you guys bring us some solutions to all of these problems?
Yeah, I think there's never been a better time to be a creator with so many different ways that you can make a living, and that are coming out more and more. Like, you're going to wear many different hats. You're going to learn how to run brands, sell products online, engage an audience. And those are all very powerful skills that are going to translate into so many different aspects of like marketing, working with brands, filming for brands, creating content. The list goes on.
You guys are you're not even entrepreneurs now. You're full-fledged businesses, because that's it. Every creator isn't even just a creator and a marketing department. You're also a billing department, and you have, some of them have subcontract, you have teams, you have partnerships, you guys are full on corporations at this point sometimes.
Yeah. So if you're a creator and you're doubting yourself, put some respect on your name. You work really hard to do what you do, and it is not easy. So you're doing really well.
Not easy.
And, keep pushing on with it. Kevin, thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Thank you for having me.
AI and like the creator landscape. It's wild. I feel like we could run this back tomorrow and have a whole bunch of new things to talk about. And creators, creative professionals, thank you for tuning in and listening to this podcast with Kevin and I talk about AI and how excited we both are, because I'm now like really sweating. I'm like, wow, I want to go and do stuff with ChatGPT right now.
It's exciting times.
Yeah, but I hope you have fun with this one, and go and try out ChatGPT and ask it. If you haven't used it before, act as a TikTok expert or whatever it is, and
exactly.
and just start playing around with it. There it is. Super exciting time to be a creator. Kevin, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.